Hi guys, School here. I've got something a little bit different for you today. So in the middle of July every year we have the Royal International Air Tattoo. This is an air show in the UK and it's at RAF Fairford. Now RAF Fairford was originally constructed in 1944 and it served as an airfield for the British and American troops and gliders and so on to invade Normandy. So it has quite a lot of history. Anyway, so every year you've got the Royal International Air Tattoo, and it's one of the best shows in the UK in the calendar, basically. And in this video, I'm going to show you a lot of footage that I recorded. The day started off a little bit wet, but it gradually got sunnier through the day. And I must admit, my arm got a bit tired towards the end, so you may see a bit of camera shake. But I did get to see some fantastic aircraft and flying. In this video I'm going to show you the Eurofighter Typhoon, I'm going to show you the YF-17, which is a very special aircraft. The Apache and the Chinook both had stellar pieces that you can watch. The C-27J Spartan, which is a very impressive aircraft. The Sukhoi Su-22, which is an old Russian aircraft, very just brute force, typically Russian. The RAF Lancaster Bomber, Spitfire and Hurricane, and finally one of the most impressive things I've seen in many a year, the Airbus Military A400M. Fantastic. Anyway, let's crack on. So this is the Northrop YF-17. Now, it's nicknamed the Cobra. Interesting thing about this aircraft, if you notice, is the two rear tail fins on it. This was a prototype fighter aircraft, and they originally entered this for the United States Air Force's Lightweight Fighter Technology Group. Eventually it got beaten by the F-16 Fighting Falcon, but the YF-17 actually got selected for the Fighter Attack Experimental Program, and later on, this is the predecessor to it, this became the FA-18 Hornet for the United States Navy and Marine Corps. So that's quite cool. Don't see this aircraft very often, so it was great to see it operating at RIAT.
It will be configured with gear down, flap down, probe out, and hook down front. Yes, the arrestor hook at the back. You can see there redolent of the aircraft's naval origins. And he'll be throwing in a couple of rolls during this pass from inverted to inverted. This pass being conducted at approximately 120 knots, indicated airspeed. Swung round a little bit, you now have an on-crowd wind which you will be offsetting against. You look at the tail plane, see how they are moving.
Very cool. But now the Sukhoi Su-22 fitter, the Russian aircraft. This is Russian engineering at its finest. I'll let the guy do the talking.
Soviet aircraft designs, simplicity of operation was paramount in developing this aeroplane. It was a rugged airframe using the surface in the field, and the aircraft was able to operate from off-base locations like unprepared strips and roads if necessary. And Mark, for you as a navigator joining the Phantom Force in the 1980s, I'd imagine this was one of the adversary aircraft that you were prepared potentially to meet.
Yeah, the Su-22 fitter was built in huge numbers, nearly 3,000 of them. And certainly if there had been a conflict during the Cold War, there would have been hundreds of these coming across the border. Back then, we studied them in great depth, in particular the Central Trials and Tactics Organisation, but we didn't have the opportunity to see them up close and personal like we do today. Generally, it was grainy black and white photos, so a real privilege today, and a real privilege 2 days ago, to be given a guided tour in the cockpit of one of these aircraft.
And what's that like?
Typical of the era, I would say, very similar in size and layout to the Jaguar aircraft, and indeed our assessment of this aircraft was that its performance was very similar to the Jaguar. So as an air defender in the Phantom, we knew that the tactics were likely to be a high-speed dash to offset and get around any potential fighter adversary.
Coming in then for their first pass, these two Polish Air Force Su-22s, and we expect to see different wing sweep configurations on them, and indeed we do, because this is a variable geometry, a swing wing aircraft. This time used until 1990, when the last examples rolled off the line. There were successive variants, it was developed all the time, and it was used right across the Warsaw Pact and countries in the Soviet sphere of influence, apart from Poland during the Cold War. Those were in Europe: Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, East Germany and Hungary, continuing this racetrack pattern for their opening flypasts.
You will notice a very slight difference in angle of attack between the two aircraft. The aircraft with the wings swept forward will be producing more lift, but to maintain position will have a slightly more nose-down attitude than the aircraft with the wings swept.
I don't know about you, but I actually find that aircraft intimidating just to look at. I mean, seriously, the noise on that was incredible. But now we move on to one of my favourite things. It's the Apache attack helicopter, and I'm just going to let you watch this. This is an entire show that they put on, and it was just wonderful.
The display aircraft has recently returned from Afghanistan. It has an operational crew at the controls, and it's at its operational weight, which is being simulated by two dummy Hellfires on the pylons. The action for today's display, ladies and gentlemen, will take place in the airfield in front of you. The Apache is airborne to your front and is holding out of the area with their optics looking into the airfield. They're in support of a British Army infantry section, call sign Hammer, who are currently out on patrol on the airfield in front of you, moving from your right to left. The patrol are out hunting down pockets of enemy fighters, and the Apache is working with the section, using its optics to check the area ahead and also to keep track of the patrol's movements. The display will take the aircraft right to the edge of its limits, and during the display I'll take the opportunity to talk about the weapon systems available to the crew on this awesome aircraft. And if you look to your front now, ladies and gentlemen, intelligence have informed the patrol that they're picking up increased enemy movement. So Hammer, the ground call sign, have called in the Apache to do a low-level pass known as a show of force. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the aircraft is now just conducting a climb using known as a zoom climb, and this will give them a better perspective into the target area. Now look up to your front and see if you can see any further enemy fire. The crew now come forward performing a 180-degree manoeuvre known as a return to target. and Captain Sam Blackwell in the front seat now, utilising the optics to line up for a Hellfire strike. Ladies and gentlemen, the Apache is now completing a 360-degree windover and positioning into the hallway in front of us. Let's step out of the scenario and talk about the weapon systems available. If you look at the pylons on the outer part of the aircraft, that is where the Hellfire controls are stored. The Hellfire we've just seen used have two different modes of guidance, laser or radar. The laser guided variant flies down the laser beam fired from the aircraft, whereas the radar guided one is fired from there. Next to the Hellfire are the rockets. Each pod can carry up to 19 rockets. The aircraft can carry a maximum of 76. There are a variety of rocket types available to the crew, and they will use the types depending on the target which they're engaging. Finally, located under the nose of the aircraft, you can see it moving there, is a 30mm cannon. This fires 10 rounds a second out to distances of over 4 kilometers. The pilot wears a monocle over their eye, and they can use this to aim and fire the gun. The large dome on top of the aircraft is the fire control radar, known as the FCR. This can find large amounts of targets and with its computer, prioritise the most dangerous for the crews to shoot at. Back into the scenario, the crew are now manoeuvring in the low-level environment, using the fire control radar, the FCR, to find any targets that are out there.
I was trying to get it with the helicopter's background.
The crew are using up to 60 degrees angle of bank, manoeuvring in what is known as the nap of the earth environment, NOE, to the crews. It also gives you an opportunity to see the agility of this aircraft so close to the ground. Apache now using another 180-degree return to target, and they're running in for a 30mm strike from the left. The crew now conducting another climb to look into the overhead. This is a standard procedure that we'll utilise, and by climbing it gives us a better perspective to look into the target area to confirm the destruction. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the hammer call sign, the infantry out there in that tree line are receiving some more fire, so they've requested the Apache to do a further strike, this time using the rockets, the CRV-7 rockets.
great shooting. All enemy destroyed and cleared to return to base.
Ladies and gentlemen, the crew is now completed a moment. Take the aircraft right through its limits and take a 90 degrees nose up. You don't mean seeing a 10-ton aircraft. The Apache, in coordination with the ground call signs, has successfully destroyed all the targets. The crew are now utilising a 270-degree wingover, known by the team as a Max J turn, right around the moon for the last time. Get your cameras at the ready, ladies and gentlemen, as the crew conducts a quick stop into the hover in front of you. Together for the 2014 attack helicopter display team.
That's one aircraft you do not want to get on the wrong side of. Now, going back retro, one of my favourite aircraft of all time is the Spitfire, and we have taken off a Spitfire, a Hurricane, and an aircraft, a model of which I used to have hanging from my ceiling as a child, the Avro Lancaster Heavy Bomber. Such a pleasure to see that aircraft still flying. There aren't many left. And unusually, although becoming more of a common sight these days, taken off to fly with them, the Eurofighter Typhoon. If you've never watched a Eurofighter Typhoon in real life, I thoroughly recommend it. It is probably the most noisiest of all of the aircraft you will see, and yet it's also the most impressive. And one of the reasons I think that they bring it to fly with the Lancaster and the Spitfire and the Hurricane is because it effectively demonstrates old technology and new technology. This aircraft, this Typhoon, can go supersonic speeds, and yet it can also fly behind a Spitfire, which is just unbelievable. As much as I love the Spitfire and the Eurofighter Typhoon, we were treated to a wonderful display of the Chinook helicopter. There really is nothing else like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, introducing the 2014 Chinook display team.
Guys, just completed his nose over 360 there. Great blade slap to the crowd. He's now repositioning over to crowd left with a wing over to come back in for a roller coaster. Charlie going to pull the aircraft up to approximately 80 degrees nose up, wait till it goes still air, and then push the nose forward. how to stop the aircraft in such a short period of time. Down, and Sergeant Andy Caldwell is at the back, waving to the crowd. This is your opportunity for great photographs, and please show your appreciation by waving back. The aircraft has 3 hooks underneath, only showing 2 today. That can carry us to approximately 10.5 metric tons underneath. The Chinook is the only helicopter that can possibly carry its own weight underneath. We can carry 3 separate loads and also a cabin full of troops. From high altitude to low altitude, the Chinook has a great acceleration capability. Charlie's going to continue pulling in his power, and he's going to conduct the seesaw. This is similar to a fixed wing manoeuvre, holding the 2 pedals towards a stall turn. On operations. However, we'd just like to show the manoeuvrability of the Boeing Chinook. He's now going to reposition for a nose over 180 into a running landing. The running landing is often used for power loss or engine failures where you've got an available grass strip or runway. Because the aircraft is tandem rotor, the aircraft can run at a reasonable speed, approximately 70 knots. This means that you can land the Chinook just like a fixed wing. Touch down at ground center. Once the wheels touch down, it's going to raise the nose and slow it down using the power that's collected. Charlie's now going to raise the nose to its maximum angle of back, which is going to start to move the aircraft backwards. The pilots can't see where we're going, but out the right door you can see Sergeant Andy Caldwell talking them on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a bow for the team. Say hello when you see us around, and give a big cheer and wave for the 2014 Chinook display team.
Now, the Chinook is a massive transporter helicopter, absolutely huge when you get down the side of one, but the Airbus A400M, this aircraft here, is also enormous. This was one of the key things to see at RIAT this year. This thing only got its operational certification last year, and it has 4 turboprop engines. They are TP400 D6 engines rated at 11,000 horsepower each. They are the largest, most powerful turboprop engines in the West to enter operational use. But nothing could prepare me for when I actually got to see this aircraft perform in the sky. Just looking at it here, I was impressed. But the moment this thing took off, I was gobsmacked.
What an impressive takeoff from an aircraft that size. 50 degrees nose up as it turns through 45 degrees right.
Yes, it really is an agile machine, this. Of course, a multinational program, as with any Airbus aircraft, and it really promises much for the Royal Air Force Air Mobility Fleet, which, Mark, has undergone so much change in recent years.
Yeah, we've just seen the retirement of the C-130K, the VC-10 and the TriStar after anywhere between 30 and 40 years of service. This aircraft represents the final piece in the jigsaw of the tactical and strategic air mobility fleet upgrade that the Royal Air Force has undergone.
The aircraft being turned now into what will be a very tight 360-degree orbit in front of us. On current plans, Airbus hopes in 2015 to deliver 23 of these aircraft to customer nations. Apart from those that I've mentioned, the other customers thus far are Spain, Belgium, Malaysia and Luxembourg. A slow pass here with the undercarriage down. This is an aircraft that can fly very slowly enough to reach full helicopters, and that is another of its engine roles. In the transport function, meanwhile, the sort of loads it can carry, well, it could take a Super Puma of the type we've just seen departing, or another equivalent helicopter, the NH-90. It could take a pair of Lynx or Apaches, and of course, 4 significant numbers of vehicles. Now here comes a higher speed fly past, and at the end of this, we'll see something marked of that agility once again. That's a bit more up here.
Something that's amazing for an aircraft of this size. The aircraft will bank over to approximately 120 degrees. Bearing in mind that most large aircraft are restricted to somewhere in the region of 40 degrees of bank. The forces on the vertical stabilizer here, absolutely immense.
We'll see maximum braking being applied and also maximum reverse pitch on the propellers. The 4 Europrop International TP400 engines, also new as well as the aircraft. So, completing its sequence, the Airbus A400M, a mightily imposing performer here at the Air Tattoo. And it's worth mentioning Ed Stromberg, who was captaining the aircraft and was the chief test pilot on the programme, is retiring at the end of this year. He's a real gentleman, a very nice chap indeed. Gives splendid displays in this aeroplane, so that's his last display, I should think, at the Air Tattoo. And I thank you, Ed, for showing the aircraft off so brilliantly this year, as he did back in 2010, when it made its debut. And we're really looking forward to seeing this at RAF.
So impressive. That aircraft can carry 2 Apaches, has a nose-up takeoff of 50 degrees and can bank at 45, and then it lands on a sixpence. What? Another impressive cargo aircraft, this time an Italian one, the Alenia C-27J Spartan. The takeoff and landing on this aircraft, it doesn't quite take off as well, it's only a 30-degree takeoff, but just wait for the landing.
The excellent takeoff and crash performance of the airplane, showing capability to reach a safe altitude out of the enemy fire. Here is the so-called tornado. You can see the C-27J flying over the display line and getting upside down, showing you its outstanding rolling capability. The tunnel is for sure a no-common maneuver for such a heavy cargo aircraft, just performed at 230 knots, climbing up to 3,500 feet. The Spartan comes back on the display line, increasing speed from the left to the right to perform an incredible vertical circle
the so-called looping, pulling back the control stick. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Type of maneuver in this moment. 3,000 feet perfectly drawing a vertical circle, a 3G factor maneuver, ending with a wide left turn at 200 knots. Ladies and gentlemen, from our left here, the airplane is now flying at the lowest possible speed, only 100 knots. Try to imagine right now a paratroopers drop down from the backside of the Spartan during our tactical operation. 95 knot speed towards the runway, the aircraft is kept under control with the rudder while descending, and 9,000 feet per minute is the rate of descent. Impressively scooting down until gently touching the ground and stopped in less than 300 meters. Touchdown in this moment. Back in reverse mode, so demonstrating these excellent ground control capabilities. Slowly steering towards us, the cabin air of the C-27J Spartan crew. Major Tommy Michele, Major Gianmarco Nicoleto, and Warrant Officer Ugo Sabeni are happy to say goodbye to you all.
I have no idea what that guy just said at the end there. That Italian accent. Still, it was very pleasant enough. That thing does a loop, it can fly upside down, it can land within 300 meters, and it has a reverse gear. Unbelievable. No airshow would be complete in the UK without the Red Arrows. The RAF Red Arrows are the face of the RAF. They have a insignia which has a diamond shape 9 aircraft on it and the word éclat underneath, which means brilliance or excellence in French. They fly the BAE Systems Hawk trainer aircraft, and they are pretty much known throughout the world. You will hear them talking, the chatter of the comms. It sounds a bit strange at first, but there are very good reasons for it. It's very metronomic, and they do that so that they can predict with deadly accuracy when they are supposed to actually affect a maneuver.
The brakes go off. Reds 1, 2 and 3 use their Rolls-Royce Ador engines and 5,200 pounds of thrust to release down the runway. Second behind them, Reds 4 and 5, and 2.5 seconds behind them, Reds 6, 7, 8 and 9. Give them a wave as they run past, accelerating to 200 miles an hour. Formation as quickly as possible. You can see now Reds 4 and 5 have already joined Reds 1, 2 and 3. Red 6, 7, 8, 9 have formed a box formation and they'll be joining into Diamond 9 as Red 6 calls for Red 1 to turn. They enter a turn to the left. Well, the Red Arrows' first display season was in 1965. The team was formed as an amalgamation of a number of other teams. The Red Pelicans, Black Arrows, Yellow Jacks were popular teams around the era, but it was decided that only one full-time aerobatic team should be established, and therefore the Red Arrows were formed.
Coming, left, now. Holding bank, now, tight,
You will now see the jets collapse to around 6 to 8 feet away from each other as they form a short diamond formation in that left-hand bend. They are led by Red 1 squadron leader Jim Turner. It's Jim's third and final year as the team's leader. He is a former Jaguar pilot in the Royal Air Force. He's very experienced in the display world, having displayed the Jaguar, spent 3 years previously with the Red Arrows, including leading the synchro pair, and then he spent 3 years as the official advisor to the Royal Saudi Air Forces display team. In for the left now, looking for Short Diamond. Reds 4 and 5 pitch up to perform high-speed rollbacks into Apollo formation as they're now entering the rolling display. Reds 2 and 3 acknowledge the move to Eagle. They do so with very metronomic cadence in their voices. The idea then is that on 4 in their heads, all the pilots extend their air brakes, and on 6 they retract them, which enables all 3 aircraft on each wing to drop back in unison to form Eagle as they come in from the right and fly the Eagle roll. So as the jets go upside down, boys and girls, this is when they'll see you waving. Well, the aircraft the Red Arrows originally used was known as the Folland Gnat, so that was the advanced jet trainer in the Royal Air Force in 1960s. But in 1976, the Hawker Siddeley Hawk entered service with the RAF, and in 1980, the Red Arrows started using the Hawk to perform its aerobatic displays. The Hawk is now a product of BAE Systems. It's very successful as an export around the world, having been sold to over 19 countries, and it continues to impress in its guise as the new advanced jet trainer. Out to the front left now, the team approach in the shape of the Su-27 Russian fighter jet, and the NATO code word for that jet is the flanker. Well, the pilots are about to move into a very wide formation now. You'll see Reds 8 and 9 move to the far edges of the wings, and from Red 9's left wingtip through to Red 8's right wingtip, the formation measures 100 metres or 300 feet. So to enable it to stay as one formation as they manoeuvre around the sky, the pilots have to anticipate their control inputs, and they do so using the Red 1's voice commands. But now we're about to have some very patriotic red, white and blue. So, celebrating 50 display seasons, please, can I have a huge round of applause as they show you Phoenix? On the leader's right wing is the first of our 2 first-year pilots for 2014. He's Red 2, Flight Lieutenant Stu Campbell. Stu is a former Tucano instructor. You saw it displayed here earlier. He in fact displayed the Tucano in 2008 and spent 3 years instructing on that aircraft before transferring to the Tornado GR4. Out to the right, the smoke goes off in our trademark shape, and all of the jets are about to smoke in true 60s and 70s style in the diamond roll. Give them another wave, boys and girls! Most of our formations are flown with the odd-numbered pilots on the left-hand side, the even-numbered pilots fly on the right-hand side, and in their 3-year tour with the team, the pilots will generally start at the front near the leader, and as their proficiency improves, they move further to the back. On the leader's left wing is the other of our first-year pilots. He's Red 3, Flight Lieutenant Joe Hurston. Joe is a former Hawk flying instructor. Operationally, he flew the Tornado GR4. In fact, Joe is the only pilot on the team to have instructed on both this version of Hawk, the Hawk T Mark 1, and also the Royal Air Force's new advanced jet trainer, the Hawk T Mark 2. The smoke goes off to the left now, as they have formed a very iconic shape. This is of the supersonic airliner, and they're about to show you Concorde. Left-hand turn, they're now going to change shape again, this time to feathered arrow. 2, 3, 4 and 5 will move forward to Red 1's wing, and 8 and 9 at the back will sit on Red 7's wing, the back of the stem as we call it. Well, feathered arrow is a little bit of a mouthful to say on the radio. So in this shape, they're coming in from the left, and we call this one Fred. Half of the Red Arrows display, ladies and gentlemen, where you've seen all 9 aircraft performing close formation aerobatics. We're now going to split down into sections of 2, 3, 4, 5 or 7 aircraft and show you some more dynamic manoeuvring. Enid split. Now keep your eyes on Jippo underneath. On the left-hand side is Red 6 and leader of the synchro pair, Flight Lieutenant James McMillan. It's James's 3rd and final year as a Red Arrow. He actually grew up in New Zealand, but he transferred to the Royal Air Force in 2002, becoming a Hawk flying instructor and Harrier pilot. On the left, he's chased down by Red 8. And if we look right, with the smoke on, is Red 7, chased down by Red 9. These 4 aircraft are now closing at 850 miles an hour. Get your cameras ready as they perform the amazing Jippo Pass. Synchro pair leave their smoke on. They're turning away from us now at 6G, or 6 times the force of gravity. That means everything in their bodies weighs 6 times more than normal. And they work hard to counter those G-forces as they fly the Cyclone. As the synchro pair slingshot out to the front, look to your left to find Enid. The wings of Enid on the left drop down to form an inverted V shape, and if you look to your right, down the runway is a load jet. That is Red 9, who's now going to perform the Goose. Climbing steeply to the left with a red, white and blue stripe is Red 9, Flight Lieutenant Mike Child. It's Mike's 3rd year in the team. He'll be leaving at the end of this season. He's a former Hawk flying instructor and Hawk display pilot. Operationally, Mike flew the Typhoon. You've seen it display the Royal Air Force's new multi-role combat aircraft. Now look directly to the front to find 6, 7 and 8. Red 7 and 8 start to roll around Red 6 with his blue smoke before they split. This is the Vortex. is Flight Lieutenant Martin Pert. He's the last of our third-year pilots with the team. He'll be leaving at the end of this season also. Pert is a former Hawk flying instructor and has been the solo Hawk display pilot. Operationally, he flew the Harrier GR9. Well, the synchro pair are currently perched at around 2,000 feet. They're about to descend to their display height of just 100 feet. Now get ready for the opposition barrel roll. The next call you'll hear from each of the pilots is threshold. That means they've reached a geographic point and they're going to continue with this manoeuvre. Out to the right, you'll see Enid are being joined by Reds 8 and 9. They are in big battle formation. 1, 4 and 5 are going to ease up slightly. The coloured smoke comes on for the revolution. Each of the pilots in the revolution performing an aileron roll manoeuvre, which essentially is just a full left-hand control column input to allow the aircraft to roll around its longitudinal axis. The key to that manoeuvre is getting all 7 jets doing it at the same time before they then form that big battle formation. Left and right again for the synchro pair. This time, Red 6 comes from our right and Red 7 from our left. They're closing at 800 miles an hour. They're going to cross 3 times in opposing 360-degree 6G turns. This is the carousel. So they're pulling 6G, narrowly avoiding each other, and at each of these 3 crosses, watch how the pilots swap their smoke colours using the individual colour control buttons on the aircraft's control column. Now look to your right 45 degrees, just above the hangar, to find Enid. They're now in a shape called leader's benefit, and they're going to draw a red, white and blue snake-like shape of smoke in the sky as they fly the Python. Of that leader's benefit shape is Red 4. He is Flight Lieutenant Ollie Parr. Ollie's in his 2nd year with the team. He's a former Tornado GR4 pilot, but he's also spent a tour as a Hawk flying instructor at Royal Air Force Valley on Anglesey, North Wales, where we train our advanced flying students. So as Enid finished the Python to our left, keep your eyes in that direction to find Jippo. Red 6 and 7 now roll upside down in close formation. This is the corkscrew. Now you need to look to your left to find Enid. Notice that Reds 2 and 3 have their lights off. That's one of them's had a bulb failure, and to symmetricalise it, we turn the light off. The inside pilots now perform tight match rolls to the outside in the rollbacks. Mailbox to our right. Keep looking down the runway to the right to find Jippo. Once again, Red 6 and 7 roll upside down. The idea now is that Reds 8 and 9 will match their formation underneath. In from the right, this is the mirror pass. Now boys and girls, give the synchro pair a wave as they fly past upside down. Red 6 gives the command for the formation to widen as they roll out in a 4-ship square card formation. Now look directly above the BAE Systems hangar to your right 45. Reds 1 to 4 form a box formation, and here goes Red 5. He's going to roll around the rest of Enid a dozen times. This is the Twister! Getting very busy with the red smoke on is Red 5, Flight Lieutenant Steve Morris. It is Steve's second year with the team. He's a former Hawk flying instructor. Operationally, he's flown both the Harrier GR9 and the Tornado GR4. Looking directly to the front now to find Jippo. Reds 8 and 9 pitch up to roll around 6 and 7. Get your cameras ready for the Jippo break. Changing from blue to white on the right-hand side is Red 7, Synchro number 2, Flight Lieutenant Mark Lawson. It's his second year with the team. His background is solely on the Tornado, where he was a qualified weapons instructor. Mark would like to say hello to some guests here today. So hello to the Staines and his cousins David and Laura and the kids, and also Stephen and Emma. Big hello to you from Mark. Left and right again for the Synchro pair in their final manoeuvre, the double rolls. Please put your hands together for the synchro pair! Directly to the front to find Enid, who are being joined by 8 and 9 for the displays finale. They're in a 7-ship Vixen formation, putting their smoke on. Cameras ready for the final manoeuvre. This is the Vixen break. You've been watching the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows! About to put his smoke on. He's going to gather all 9 aircraft together to recover and land on runway 27 here at Fairford, where our team of Blues will then service the aircraft. They'll put more fuel in, they'll put more diesel in for the smoke, and then we'll get ready for our departure here tomorrow morning. You'll see the silhouette against the sky, you'll see the undercarriage come down on each of the aircraft. They'll call their gear call as they turn finals to then decelerate to around 150 miles an hour and touch down on the runway. When you see Red 1 coming towards the threshold, he's going to put a little blip of smoke out. A little bit of smoke will come out, and that gives the following pilots an indication of what the wind is doing, and therefore what the drift is doing. which means they'll see what the jet wash and the wake turbulence of the leading aircraft is doing. So obviously the wind is from the right today, slightly from the north. You'll see the smoke drifting from right to left. And that means that the odd-numbered pilots who land on the left-hand side of the runway will come in with a steeper approach than the even-numbered pilots who land on the right-hand side of the runway. So here comes red 1. Little blip of smoke will come out. And then, as we're looking at it, it'll move from left to right. And then we'll stag. So as they come past, they're slowing down to get ready to stop about 2/3 of the way down the runway. They won't be able to see you waving as they come past. So please, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Coming past you now, red 1, squadron leader Jim Turner. Let's have a little competition. Let's see who gets the biggest cheer as I call their names as they taxi past. Try that again. Red 1, squadron leader Jim Turner. Here comes red 2, Flight Lieutenant Stu Campbell. Now coming in is red 3, Flight Lieutenant Joe Hurston. Now is red 4, Flight Lieutenant Ollie Parr. Red 5, that crazy twister pilot is Flight Lieutenant Steve Morris. I think Steve's winning so far. Red 6, leader of the synchro pair, Flight Lieutenant James McMillan. Red 7, synchro 2, Flight Lieutenant Mark Lawson. That's a very good cheer, Mark. Red 8, Flight Lieutenant Martin Pert. And last but by no means least is red 9, Flight Lieutenant Mike Childs. And you'll see that Mike has somebody in the back seat of his aircraft. He's actually one of our pilots that we've selected for the 2015 team. He's Flight Lieutenant Mike Bowden. More about him next year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Red Arrow display. I'd like to pass on a public thanks to everybody that has supported the team over the last 50 seasons. And for this year, many, many thanks to all of our supporters, especially to the Royal International Air Tattoo and everyone that has supported the team. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. And I wish you all the very best on behalf of everybody at the Red Arrow.